Okay, what do we got going on here? Well, I've gone back and forth on what to use in that Fairlane, and I came across this. I know it looks kind of strange, but this is my uh, Y block that I pulled out of the 55. I got to thinking, what is the best to put in that? Well, you can see her over there. She's kind of parked right over there. What's the best thing to put in it? Well, maybe it's the same thing that came out of it. I know I was talking about going 460 in that, but that's a little modifying, and that still leaves me with this motor with no home. The reason I come across or came up with that idea, this is actually a fresh rebuild. Uh, the guy that had the truck, it was a boom truck, and he was used it for construction, lifting trusses and what got you. Well, he rebuilt the motor. I believe it was in the 70s. Drove the truck a few times. You know, it's a work truck, it doesn't get daily driven. And then upgraded his equipment so it just even sat even longer. So I know that's a good running Y block. And I got a little more information onto the guy. This is the 272 or 292, the 292 Y block. But when he had it rebuilt, he wanted a little bit more horsepower out of it. So he converted it into a 312. Uh, the difference is just, stroke. You stroke them for a 312. So he put a 312 crank in it and, rotating assembly, and off he went. Back in those days, it was about the same price. So that's what he did. So actually, it's a 312. Uh, Even though she's marked out as a 292, 272. Anyway, it's a 312 now. Bored a little over. He said he did bore it, but he couldn't remember. But anyway, it's a hot, what you could call a hot Ford Y block. And I kind of like these old Y blocks because of that right there. Ford did put the distributor in the back on these early Y blocks, so it's kind of unique. And they distinguish themselves because you can see there it kind of fell over. They mounted them in there kind of diagonal. They're a very interesting engine. Uh, if you've ever heard one of these run, this, I gotta tell you, is probably the best sounding Ford V8 of all time. Uh, I don't know if it's because of the way that they fire, the firing order, or what. I think it's got a lot to do with the heads design on them, to tell you the truth. Um, and those exhaust valves, oddly enough, this is when Ford got exhaust right. Unfortunately, it was the only thing they got right on this motor. The intake design, when I get into it, I'll do a video on the goofy Ford Y block heads. They're strange. Um, but a good shout out to Uncle Tony. He was showing Chrysler heads and the secret on why they breathe so good. I was watching that video. It's one of his older ones, and he takes a propane torch and sticks it in the exhaust on a Chrysler. I think it's a 318. I'm not sure. Probably 318. He was doing bottle rocket about the time, and he shoots the flame out, and the flame comes straight out, no restrictions. It doesn't do the down. Look at there. Ford did the same thing back here in these Y block years. You look down in that, and it's straight down to the valve. So exhaust wise, these things breathe like no tomorrow. They're exceptionally good at getting rid of the exhaust. Again, though, the intake side, eh, something left to be desired on it. And when I get into this, though, too, again, big shout out to you, Uncle Tony. You're awesome. I've been watching your stuff. Let's see if I can do this. I've been watching your stuff on Sonic Pulse and stuff like that, different intake runner lengths. I think I figured out these Y blocks after watching you on those. I think what was going on was the intake side on these heads, and I'll go into this more when I tear them apart. It's rattling around in my head that these heads are actually part of the intake manifold. Because if you look at the intake, this is a 2-barrel here, but if you look at the intakes here, they're really short. You can see how short these are. This has nothing here. That's a crossover. It comes in, your fuel goes in here, comes across, and see how they're really thick there? It's because they're stacked right here. But then it comes across to this, and it comes across to that one. I think that's all part. They were trying to get that sonic pulse you've been talking about. And I think that's also what really gave these a very unique sound. And I'll tell you, if you ever hear one of these running, they sound, well, I know it's all opinion, but these are just, they sound the best of all the Fords. This is my loafing shed. This is where my horse hangs out. It's winter time. There she is. It's breakfast time. That's why I'm out here. Squeeze around there. There's my shoebox. You see that flathead out in there, that 8B flathead. That came out of here. This was a Wyoming State cop car. And of course, here's the 58. I've already got, of course, I'm going to be talking about the other one, but this is right here. I can show you. I've already got the motor mounts all set. And that one that's right back there, when I picked up this car as my parts car, in the trunk were brand new motor mounts and tranny mount already for a Y block. And it's all pushing me towards just using that. Over here, this is a 312 here. I picked up this 312. It's just sitting on this Ranchero, but I needed a place to put it. It's also got very decent motor mounts on it. I picked this one up because I've had that 272 there. It's actually a 312 now. I've had it for a long time, but I hate that 2-barrel carburetor intake manifold on it. So I've always been in the search for a 4-barrel, and I found this one. And I ended up buying the whole thing, the transmission, everything. So I've got my 4-barrel now. I can put that on that one over there. For you Y block guys out there that are looking for a 312, Ford is really strange on their engine casting numbers, and they always have been. These Y blocks, the numbers for them, you're not going to be able to see it. It's all nasty in there. But the numbers are right here. When you look these numbers up, uh, I've had a lot of guys ask me for a 312Y. Everybody wants a 312. They were kind of the Ford's kind of hot motor in the day. The one that got a lot of hype anyway. And a lot of the guys are looking for a 312 and they keep telling me I can find a lot of 292s. Everything I find is a 292. That's because the 292 and the 312 have the exact same casting number. But if it was in a Mercury, it was a 312 because Mercury used the 312. This we're talking bone stock from the factory. That's how they did these. So when you're looking and you want the 312, you want to go numbers matching, you're doing a restoration, don't shy away from that number right there. If that number is in a Ford, it's a 292. If it's in a Mercury, it's a 312. Uh, the other way to tell, uh, like I said, this is for the Ford guys out there. You'll know what I'm talking about. The 360 and the 390, same thing. They have the exact same casting numbers. The only way you can tell is if you pull the spark plugs, stick a straw down there, roll it over until it comes all the way down, mark it, keep rolling it over until it comes all the way to the top, mark your straw or whatever you're going to stick down in there. I always use a drinking straw. Measure the length. That's what determines what it is. And just like a 360 and a 390 on the Y blocks, that's the only way you can really tell. The casting numbers, that's just the casting number for the block, and it's the same block all the way through, all the way down to the 272. The only thing that changed was the crank rotating assembly. Anyway, interesting thing about these Ys, you can really bore them. You can bore them way out. They're really thick walled. So back in the day, there was a lot of hot rod tricks to them, but their downfall was these dang heads. uh, Another thing to look for too, Mercury used a higher ratio rocker arm. So that was a performance upgrade. Everybody looked for 312 heads to put on a 272, 292 because of that higher ratio. Kind of made it like you had a cam in it without putting a cam in it. Uh, Compression ratios on these are way low, just like everything in the 50s. Uh, so there's a lot of valve room. Those pistons don't come all the way to the top. So you can play with your valve lift like that without majorly going into them. Of course, there's more to it than just slapping these on, but that's why a lot of people look for the 312 heads. The other one was the dual point distributor that came in Thunderbirds and some other options. But other than that, distributor swaps from all different sizes, clear up into the 60s, as long as it's the one in the rear. Later on, like the 352 and all of that, they put the distributor up here where Ford is known for. But for all those guys, like I said, that say, "Hey, Ford got the placement of the distributor right," well, no, they started out back there. Another oddity about these, uh, if you look down at the block, this head is a head and this one is back. That's for cylinder placement. The way they rotate on the crankshaft, they're never straight across from each other. But that is number one, even though it's farther back. Uh, that's pretty standard for Ford, but and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, it's a Ford. 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. And your firing order follows, And this is counterclockwise. Even though it's in the back, it's counterclockwise because of the direction it comes to the cam. Is a little different, little quirks about them, but they're, like I said, their rotation on the distributor is counter. This is clockwise, like normal. Uh, but anyway, so I got a 312. I got my 4-barrel intake. This motor's locked up. Actually, it ran good, but it sat outside, nothing covering it forever, and got water in it, and she's locked up solid now. But it was puffing on one valve. It's probably got a burnt valve. It's another thing about these, they don't have hardened valves. These are made for leaded gas. So you got to run the lead additive if you drive one of these. So fuel is going to cost you a little more. Anyway, on the one I got in there, I've got the auxiliary PVC crankcase breather, if you want to call it. This is on the top. On my one in there, it actually mounts right here. You can see this is out of a 59, but they blocked this off. My crankcase breather is actually right here. There's a oil pressure, oil pump. Pickup is out here. It's external. Your pickup tube goes back to the oil pump, which is right there. It did have a screw-on oil filter. That's sweet as heck. And on my other one over there, I've got the uh, adapter, so I can actually mount the oil filter this way instead of this way or this way. Anyway, little quirks on it. Another oddity here. The fuel pump. This one was electric wiper. There's two different types of fuel pumps. There's a dual port, the one that it's actually a vacuum pump too. And then it's made to run vacuum. It's for your windshield wipers. Whereas a lot of cars back in these years that had vacuum uh, windshield wipers, they run off of intake manifold vacuum. On the Fords, to try to help kind of alleviate all that stuff, these ones had a vacuum pump built into the fuel pump. The way you can tell if it's got that is it'll have another port, a vacuum port coming off of here, and you run that up to your windshield wipers. They actually worked decent, but yeah, I I I can't remember if that's the port or not. I think it might be. I think this is a dual. But anyway, when you're looking to buy a new fuel pump for them, if you have vacuum wipers, make sure you get the double. It looks just like that, but it's got another port on it that it supplies vacuum for that. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing, it looks like. Wow, look at there. Well, Yeah, that one's got a little. That motor mount's wore a little bit. I don't think I can use it. But I know the starter's good. This one is a 12-volt starter. Uh, when you're doing 12-volt conversion on them, that's not a big deal. You can run 6-volt or 12-volt on the starter. Not a big deal. Your distributor, you drop that to 8-volt anyway, so that's not a big deal. The only thing you got to do to convert these old engines to run on 12-volt, you put an alternator on it and then upgrade everything in the vehicle. Everything on these runs 8-volt anyway. That's through your ceramic. Uh, and of course, the coil. You get a 12-volt coil, but it all passes through the, you know, very little changing you got to do. And the condenser inside the distributor. I haven't even pulled this distributor. I don't even know what's in there. Let's take a quick look. Look at there. Oh, I'm getting excited. Nope. Nope. Never mind. I'm not excited anymore. These these points have been replaced. These are those cheap points you get with the nylon follower. Damn it. Made in USA. Might be a good condenser though. It's been run a little bit. See a little there. It's not bad though. Put that back on there to keep her protected. It's a lot easier when I got the camera down. And you can see they busted the hell out of that. There we go. Anyway, the nuances of the. Ooh, look at there. He's not happy. Good thing it's cold out. He would have bit me. Of the Ford Wise. Uh, before I start any of these projects, I always check for the uh-oh parts. One of the uh-oh parts is this guy right here, the Harmonic Balancer. And this one, I don't know. This one right here doesn't look too good. You can see the rubber's really cracked in there, cracking out. I don't know if that harmonic balancer is any good. Also, when you pull them, there's a sleeve right back here. You can buy a replacement sleeve and chain. You can sleeve them so you can keep using them. But if the rubber's gone in them, uh, they're done. They're toast. And well, the only place I can find so far is Summit. Oddly enough, Summit does still sell parts for these, but it's a $300. Yeah, I know. I said it. $300 harmonic balancer. So be real careful. Oh, yeah, she's real. Yep, see that? She's done. I can almost pull it off. the outer ring part here, it's ready to come off. So that harmonic balancer is no good. I do need this outer pulley though. On the other one over here. Oh, one of the things I did get with this was the transmission, and I've got two clutches. So, and I got the heavy duty clutch, and that one over there because it was made for a big truck, and it's the same size uh, flywheel and clutch and everything. So I'll probably be using that clutch, just a new throwout bearing. And I got the transmission for it sitting way over there. Yeah, I know things are kind of scattered, but everything will fit right into these 58s. Uh, One thing I got to look for, I got two ways around it, but it's easier if I jump down inside there. But right around there on the backside, you see that ball right there? There's a funky looking bell crank that goes like this, and it's got a socket for that ball to fit in, and then comes out again like this for the manual clutch. So it kind of does this and pushes the clutch fork in. They don't exist. I've looked everywhere, high and low, for them, and they don't exist. And unfortunately, on both of these cars, neither one of them's got that. This is the one that it'll be actually be going in, and I got the door sitting over there. I've been working on a little bit. You can see here, this one's missing too. This one does have the clutch pedal in it. There's the top part of it, but I'm missing the bracket, the bell crank looking arm that goes in that socket, comes up into there, and when you step on the clutch, it pushes the clutch fork, which will be right about there. So, yeah, that I got lucky there and it was laying there, but it's not. If I can't find that, I'll have to adapt. We'll go back over here to the 460, which I was kind of thinking about putting in it with the automatic, but I kind of like that 3 on the tree. I'll have to adapt a slave cylinder mount, kind of like this. Uh, this is the Ford style. It'll probably be GM when I'm done, but I'll have to make a mount to fit on there for the slave to do it. You can see this one right here got burned up when this thing caught fire. Here's the transmission that's going to go in it. And the reason I want to put this transmission in it, this is a 303 3-speed, but third gear is overdrive. And that car over there is going to be a highway cruiser. I want decent mileage, you know, 20s at least. Just a cruising, not a drag strip ripper by any means. It might only do a 2 or 3 burnouts its whole life. So that transmission, which actually goes to all of it, will work just fine. I will have to find a yoke for it, but I think I got a lead on it. The old body man that lives up the way, he just got done doing a 56 Ford, and he gave me the seat out of it. I wanted the seat out of it because I wanted to compare them side by side with the 58. The seat is exactly the same, and through Max I can get the rebuild kit, for the interior. and I want to do it myself. So, uh, but they don't offer it for 58. Um, the only difference is the pattern. And I know Max Auto, they're great if you want to restore something, but they don't sell a lot of aftermarket custom stuff. So they're more focused on, original contours, Barrett Jackson kind of restoration stuff, which I'm not concerned with. I care less about. So I'll pick out a color pattern that'll look good on that 58, but it'll be in the 56. I think it goes up to 56 is what they offer. Um, Pattern, which doesn't matter to me one bit. Anyway, I think that's the direction I'm going to go. This 460 is going to find its home in my 1950 dump truck. And then I can use the granny gear. I just use this transmission, everything. Instead of trying to source a manual transmission that'll fit that. So that's where I'm at with that. Oh, and another one, quick one here. I've got the rear dump Y block exhaust. This came off that 312. That's another thing I was after when I bought that was these manifolds. Uh, like I said, if you've ever heard them, they just got a sound all of their own, and they sound, in my opinion, the best of all of them. And there is a 12-volt generator for it. uh, I won't be using it, but I can use like the brackets and stuff when I put my AC Delco 12-volt on it. Alternator. Uh, I want an alternator. I do not like generators. It's a dependability thing. I've had too many issues with generators, and you look at the price of a new generator. Holy cow. Hold on to your socks and your wallet. Anyway, that's where this project's going, I guess. Uh, it's fall. Fall has sprung. So, and it's September now. So I'll be taking it up to the main shop. That's why it's pushed over there, because I'm getting ready to pull it out and take it up to the main shop and getting everything here ready for it. The Jeep update, he did find a new frame, came with a whole nother Jeep. He got a good deal on that, so he just dropped it off to me, and I just had a chance to go through it and look at it. You see, I pushed it up here with my little Massey, and I'll be getting on it here very shortly. So that's where I'm at with that, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get some metal hot on that 58 and get her up and going. So meantime, have fun out there, and I'm going to get to work and try to get you some more of these goofy ass videos for you. All right. Till then, like I said, keep metal hot. Have fun out there.